Gotcha. Loud and clear.
Awesome. We are live. Welcome. It is Tuesday night. Let's see. It's April 23rd. In the paint. John, thanks for being here tonight. ERB Sports. Everybody, thanks for joining. We are going to talk about a couple topics, and we're going to open up for questions as well. But we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark. Is she going to change the hobby? Is she really going to change WNBA? Is she really different? We'll come back to that one. I also want to talk about draft is 2 nights away. And I'm surprised no one has talked about this. Is anybody going to be chasing those autograph packs? Remember they did last year, the quarterbacks? I mean, if you learned anything from last year, you need to be paying attention to those autograph packs. I mean, if you got the Panini ones, you made a ton of money. If you got CJ now, you won't get that choice this year. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. NBA playoff update. Playoffs are going on right now, how cards are moving players. I think we're seeing a changing of the guard. We'll talk about that too. I think we're going to see old faces are going and new faces are coming in. And then we'll talk, obviously, we got to talk about Kurtz being banned, the Kurtz card cleaning update, what's going on, your thoughts, so forth. And any other topics. John, anything else that I left out you wanted to add? Or we'll...
Not really. No, I think let's see how that goes. I may throw in a few curveballs at the end if we got time.
Awesome. Which one you want to start with? Any particular one?
Why don't we
all
start?
Feel good to me.
Let's start with the NBA playoffs.
Awesome. So I will tell you. So I was watching tonight, and I'm watching the Wolves and the Suns are fighting back. And I have to say, I really like Anthony Edwards, and I really feel like KD is done. I think he's cooked. I don't think he's going to get any more rings. I think his career is at its twilight. I think LeBron, the same thing. We saw him last night fall apart in the Nuggets. And I kind of like this. I think it's a major shift in cards, though, because so many people invested in these guys thinking they're that they're going to be having tons and tons of championships. KD's done. And I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are. And are people going to embrace these new players? I mean, Wemby, Anthony Edwards, there's some sexy players out there. I mean, there's some good basketball. I love playoff basketball. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great when people finally get their time to shine. Selfishly, I was hoping somebody else would get that opportunity this year, but it didn't happen, and that's okay. There will always be a next year. There should be a next year. Still relatively young, and that's the same can be said for any of these guys this year. You mentioned Edwards already. People were kind of on Tatum a couple of years ago. Now they're off Tatum. The Celtics are probably the best they've ever looked. The Bucks are winning they won the other night without Giannis. Everybody was on Halliburton. You just never know. It's obviously a long series. We're going to have some home games here in Indianapolis. Maybe we'll go to a couple of them. I don't know if we'll go to a couple of them, but maybe we'll go to one. We'll see.
Cool.
We'll see. But, yeah, I think it's great. I think there are certain players that are still a little overhyped. I think the Thunder guys get a lot of hype, a lot of love. Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You mentioned Edwards already. I think Edwards is going to be a star. He has a potential to be a star, a really good star. Zion was on a heater at the end of the year as well, and then he got hurt, and that was really, really disappointing. I think, like you said, LeBron. I'm not going to put Giannis in that category yet. LeBron, KD, maybe Curry, just because I think that team is so old, and I don't know what will happen. I think he works really hard, and obviously his game translates. If he could just shoot threes, I mean that's pretty much his game, and so he'll have a longer end to his career, I think, than some. He'll be more like a Ray Allen type in the end, but it's really exciting. I mean, a couple of teams that you didn't even mention yet. The Cavaliers are up 2-0, I think, on the Magic. Donovan Mitchell. Nobody's talking about Donovan Mitchell except Neo.
Yeah.
and everybody's talking Paolo Banchero and how they're going to win, and anything can happen. They're up. They're down 0-2. They're going home to Orlando, but the Cavs are hungry after last year because they crapped out in that first round against the Knicks. I think the Cavs are fingers crossed. I think they're gonna get to the second round.
I echo what you said. It's exciting time. Like, I'll give you an example. When I think NBA, I remember like the 5 years, 6 years when it was just Cavaliers, Warriors, Cavaliers, Warriors. The season would start and you'd be like, well, can't wait to see the finals. There was like no competition. And I think it kind of smothered the rookies in those classes as well, right? Because none of them were any chances. Now, what's exciting to me, I do feel like any team could win. I really do. Like the Thunder are the number 1 seed. Experience says they should not win. They're not old enough. They're not mature enough. They can't handle the gauntlet of the playoffs. And the playoffs are different. It really are. And then I was surprised with LeBron falling apart last night. Like to me, 20 points, man. It's funny. I was talking to my son about he had the play-in game. I'm like, you'd never, ever going to think LeBron's going to lose a play-in game. When it's a one game, he's going to carry that one game. You have to beat him twice to kind of kill the monster. And that game was shocking me. So that's why I was thinking to myself, I think it's exciting. It also reminds me, while I'm on the topic of this, do you remember the opulence cards that we had from Panini, which were the finals cards? They had the finals patches in them.
I think I remember them, but I don't remember when they were around.
So I think they came out, I want to say they were during the Warriors LeBron decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because so Opulence was a really, really cool set. I think they ended in 22, 23, but what made them very good was the patches were game-worn finals patches, which was very, very rare. And again, you had LeBron in that every year. And I remember that too, where people were pre-ordering Opulence because they knew the year coming up, it was going to be LeBron again. Like there wasn't even a doubt. It was like, well, I guess it's going to be Warriors and LeBron. So it was funny how much people put into that. And I say that because I want to just, recommend Panini in the background here because they did make a really damn good product back then. I mean, that was finals game-worn product. And what happened was it became so expensive, they couldn't make that product anymore. At least I don't think it's made anymore. I don't know if the chat knows anything about it, but it was a really cool finals product I used to look forward to. I think about it, but I don't know. I don't think there's any recent ones of it.
In a couple years, when I think it's all under the Fanatics and Topps umbrella, and I don't know if they're going to bring over the Panini products. I mean, unless there's some Hail Mary when it comes to the lawsuit or whatever that Panini filed against Topps/Fanatics. I would say there's a lot of cool things that they could do. I'm always a little leery that they're going to try and pump up the prices too much and therefore price a lot of people out who don't have a ton of money. I think that would be really disappointing, but it could be really interesting to think that you could actually kind of have autographs and other things inserted as the playoffs goes along and sort of highlights the milestones that people accomplish. I think that'd be really cool, but it can't come fast enough to find out what we're actually going to get.
I would say I have to assume that's going to come. Like I love what they did with the NBA, the MLB, Major League Baseball, the patches. You can assume that with the other solutions, the other products coming out. I am concerned about price. What I would say, I was thinking about this, is that the investor gambler in me does believe though that you could hustle your way into sports cards and get your way up to that bigger stuff. It's the only gamble like that. And let me just clarify, they're all gambles, but I don't think you can go to a casino and play blackjack for so many hours and walk out there being at the high rollers table at the end of the day. I do think in sports cards, you can come in there by buying and selling retail Prism, and next thing you know, you're buying into some bigger, products at hobby or whatever. So that's why I'm saying where I think it gives you the opportunity where you could get that chase at something bigger or buy something that's desirable. And I'm excited about it. Like I said, I'll tell you what, too. I'm also disappointed we haven't seen anything from Fanatics when it came to the NBA or the NFL. Didn't they brag last year they're going to be an NBA Chrome product?
They
last
did.
Year? Remember that?
I think they really did talk a lot about how they were going to be getting NBA licensed cards sooner rather than later, and we still haven't seen any of them. We've seen the Wembanyama non-licensed cards, and maybe that's what they were alluding to, but I was a little disappointed that we didn't see a flagship product of some sorts.
I want to say the quote was Chrome. I thought the quote was when it was coming out Chrome.
Yeah, really disappointed in that.
And I'd also say too, it concerns me with things like I think they've done a poor job managing this autographs of these players. They signed all these exclusives. They created, like last year, I can tell you, I sat there cocky thinking, well, they'll probably just come out with a Topps unlicensed version if you want to go after it, but there'll be autographs. And what did they do? They sat on several of some of these players and no autographs at all. I mean, like Will Levis, nothing, not much from Young. So it's been, I would say, very disappointing.
It's been very dry, and I think that's really been disappointing to see as a consumer who would be willing to stick some money into some of those guys. I mean, the fact that they haven't done any of that except for the headliners, the CJ Stroud and the Victor, just basically saying, I think what they're doing is I think they're waiting for Will Levis to be good. And then they're going to go a little heavier on him. I don't think they're going to go in with some of these players that they've signed at the floor. They're just not going to do that. And
but again, they can set the floor. Like, here's what bothers me, I'll tell you, and this will hit a couple of topics. The one thing I feel firm about is that a rookie year autograph has meaning. Okay, because it is the year that the individual becomes a professional, and it is 1 year, which often is one season, that they can sign for that. After that, they're a vet, and they can sign the rest of their lives as vets. And that's why I think the rookie year is so important. So if you're going to tell me you're going to come out with Levis autographs next year, I'm going to sit there and say they cannot be considered rookie autographs. They're limited. And then here's the thing I'm concerned about is, did you make the market better or did you make the market worse when it comes to autographs? Are you inflating value? And I would tie this in a couple of things. You heard about the Michael Jordan signing that happened recently, the private signing. Did you hear about this?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And then you heard about the Brady signing that took place, right? There was a catastrophe. Did you hear about this one?
I think I briefly saw a snippet on it, but I didn't actually hear about it.
Well, real quick summary. When you get a chance, listen to P. Ryan on Instagram. He does a very good breakdown of the Brady debacle. He was there. But what I will take away from this is that what's happening, in my opinion, is collector money. It realizes that if I can go buy the best autographs in the world, which are Brady and Jordan, I'll pay a lot of money and I can make and manufacture valuable memorabilia. Right? The guys at Brady, people took down dozens and dozens of very, very customized memorabilia to get Brady to sign it, and it was a debacle. It didn't work out. I don't think the expectation was set properly. I know a lot of it. Like, one of the things that was signed was the football that Brady threw to Gronk in the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl the two of them played in, the first touchdown. And Tom Brady put a really bad autograph on it, defaced it basically. Right. So my point to this though is that I'm worried about where we're with autographs, right? If rookie year autographs are getting ruined because you can't even get them anymore, where does that put collectors in the future? Are they going to be getting every autograph that's as valuable? Is year one as valuable as year 20? Are there any more distinction in autographs anymore? And then do we chase these, leaf autographs? Are they even going to have, unlicensed autographs? So I don't know. I think it's a mess when it comes to the autograph market right now.
I agree. I think that's really unfortunate that consumers aren't given a choice right now, because they just kind of have to deal with the politics of the situation, at least for a couple more years. I really wish, though, if the best autographs were out there for a Levis or a Stroud or some, other folks that they did sign exclusives to. I think there's a lot of them in the NBA. I hope they're not stickers, because Leaf, I get that they put a lot of products out with good autos in them, but all being stickers, that just never has a great eye appeal. And
I agree.
I think that would be really disappointing. People will still chase them probably, but I'm not.
I was thinking, what is Levis's best autograph? He has nothing licensed, right?
That's a great point. I don't even know. Yeah, you're probably right. It sure as heck wasn't a Titans jersey last year on any Panini product.
I mean, I would say if I was a well, you're right. He might have had those Panini instant ones in the beginning.
I think I was going to say he probably had the same ones that Stroud did early on.
Yep.
That might be.
Which is a great topic to talk about, right? So last year with the whole autograph thing on draft night, both companies had these instant autographs, right? Panini had their 3 licensed guys. Well, actually, they weren't licensed at the time, but they still had the autographs for some reason. Remember that? We knew they were going to be exclusive, but they've set them on the website, and it basically was bound on demand. Like, there was no numbering, but they sold them based on how many they were ordered. And then Topps Fanatics did a lotto model, right? You buy in, you get so many autographs numbered to 99, 50 to 49, so forth. And I remember I did that, and I actually I looked at both, and I was the idiot. I chose the Topps one, right?
Oh, wow.
I don't know why, but I chose Topps. I think I chose Topps because I like the chase and the thought of getting something lower numbered. where the other one was just basically kind of buy if you wanted to, and it sat on the website as well too. Panini's did not sell out instantly. Topps sold out that night. So now I'm looking forward this year. I'm thinking to myself, what do I do now? Clearly, there's nobody I'm chasing in Panini, but do I buy a bunch of? Would you even chase that? Would you buy an autograph? I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks coming out tomorrow night.
Probably
4 or
not.
5.
You know what they could do? They did this recently with March Madness, where they had the packs that had a guaranteed auto, and they basically had a checklist. I think I could see them doing that for all of the products coming out for the draft, and maybe have like a draft pack where you're going to have maybe a somebody in their first jersey or something like that. I don't know if it obviously couldn't be truly licensed, but they did acquire that player's license, so I don't know. Yeah. That could be something.
That's a clever one. And they've got Fanatics holding a Fanatics jersey. I have to say, my point is Thursday night something's going to happen. You got to be paying attention. Something's going to drop, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I should have got that." FOMO or not, I'm saving a little budget for that. Yeah. Like I said, I wish things were different, but I think you have to take a chance at least with an autograph right now for those quarterbacks.
A fair point. Don't just watch the draft. Watch the websites. See what drops. Don't miss out on anything if you do feel like it's worth going in on.
Well, again, last year, like I said, it was quarterbacks, which I thought was cool. And I still think, for the most part, those quarterback autos have held their value. I mean, I have the Bryce Young. I have a PSA 10 Bryce Young autograph. I don't think it's worth less than I paid for it. I think some have sold for less, but again, I'm going to hold on to it. I wish I got CJ Stroud, but I was actually, who knew? I mean, who knew?
Who knew, right? Yeah, you took a gamble there. Do you get the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick? And that was a tough call at the time.
Well, again, yeah, no one, I would say too, I was definitely more negative on CJ and the Texans. I would not have guessed he would have had as good of a season. And I think more people maybe thought Levis was going to have a better season. He didn't start playing until later. Are you following this year's draft? Are you going to, like, your thoughts on any of the players or where they're going? And
haven't looked at a ton of it, but obviously I'm going to pay a little bit of attention to on draft night, just out of curiosity. I would say I am still waiting for that shoe to drop where people don't go crazy buying the quarterbacks for once in a generation, to not feel like you're going to miss out. You might end up with another CJ Stroud situation where you're going to have something that was $100 can become $2,000. You might have that, but there's just been so many bad examples lately of guys that have crapped out, ended up on different teams, were not worth near what people were paying for them. And I'm still waiting for that shoe to drop, where people are a little more skeptical going in, but probably not Thursday.
It's funny. I don't see it changing. I was listening to this, I think it was Sports Card Professor did a great video, and he's focusing on what happened to the dude that the 49ers drafted who went to the Cowboys. I heard he got cut recently.
Trey Lance, yeah.
Yeah, is he really cut? I mean, is he a free agent? And then Josh Rosen. So here's my thought on this though. You cannot confuse logic and emotion. The hobby is not about logic, guys. Logically, we can look at the graphs and charts. Logically, we know it's going to happen. It just continues to happen. So knowing that, it's kind of like saying, hey, the waves are going to come and they crash on this beach every Sunday. Are you going to come surfing with me? And that's the way I feel like it. Like what I'm excited about is seeing how the players fall, how that's going to impact other players' values, right? Because wide receiver values will change and stuff like that. I will not chase any of these damn quarterbacks in any of the new products, right? I'm not going to touch any draft products or unlicensed garbage, but I will wait. And when Prism comes out again, and hopefully it comes out late again next year, I think it's another great opportunity to go out and get a lot of great cards where you can then turn them in for money. Because again, for some reason, it continues to do that. It repeats. It's a rinse and repeat thing. Logically, you should not do it. Logically, I don't know who buys the first one at, who buys the Mac Jones at $1,000 for the PSA 10 Donruss. When we all say to everybody, wait for Optic, man, it just happens. I think part of it is just, it's a churn of the machine. I'm saying, like, it's just expected now. And more people participate in it than ever before. Like I was listening to, I think it was Chasing Cardboard, and one of the guys made a comment on there. He goes, I just like going into buying a retail box, ripping open a silver prism and selling it. I mean, who doesn't? And it's so easy now. You know what I'm saying? So in those football products, You have quarterbacks, you have wide receivers. So people take these gambles, and for whatever reason, they're not going to stop doing it, man. I don't recommend it. Like, I'll tell you, don't do it. But I'm going to be doing it. So I'm going to have fun on it. So I'm looking forward to draft night. Looking forward to what's going to happen. Let me change a little topic here and go back to the NBA and WNBA.
Yep.
Is Caitlin Clark going to change this world, change this landscape? Is she going to change collecting? Are you buying her products next year?
I think my wife will.
Really?
Yeah, I think she asked me, she said, is there going to be a chance to get Caitlin Clark cards? And I said, well, probably. I think she's exclusive to Panini. You might hate their products, but she'll be in Prism. And she has Bowman firsts and Bowman autos. And she thought, I had no idea. I said, well, you might have a chance. I would be a little patient unless you're going to rip the box and try to grade and sell and cash in on the hype a little bit. But I said I wouldn't go out and buy them, not for at least a year. But unless you're going to want to buy the retail boxes and rip them and grade them and hope for the autos, sure, you want to gamble a little bit, maybe. But yeah, as far as the WNBA and what she'll do, it's really going to be interesting. I think I think it's really it's hard to know for sure, but I do see this as being an opportunity to have a lot more collaborations with the NBA, which will elevate her profile and keep her front and center. Selfishly, as a Indianapolis area resident, what she's going to do for the Fever, at least in the short term, will literally be a fever. They're already darn near selling out. And when they go on the road to the other cities that the Fever will play in next year, or even this, I think it's actually coming up in like a month.
That's what I say. That's what's special. This does not, like, you're not waiting a long time.
And it's you haven't had this level of hype in the WNBA ever. And it will be, if she comes out of the gate hot, chucking threes like Steph Curry. And I told my wife, I said, if she becomes Steph Curry, it's going to change the WNBA. It will. And I think it'll bring a whole nother wave of people that will aspire to be that. Everybody made a big deal about the $76,000 and it's not fair. The deal was collectively bargained well before she got there. Well, if she changes the WNBA, it's the rising tide is going to lift all boats there, and it will elevate them as a league. The teams that are in the league should want her to succeed because she's coming in with such hype.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking to myself, so a couple of things. First of all, it does start in the summer. I think it's June or July, which is great because you don't have a lag. You don't have that lag of waiting until next year. She's going to be playing in a few months. My concern is I'm very skeptical of the WNBA. I mean, I'm not that I'm not a fan. I've been to some games. Will the players let her play? Are they going to come shut her down to show her, hey, welcome to the WNBA? Or will they let her play because it does help everybody? Like, it's going to be interesting. I've noticed, for example, the Vegas Stars or Vegas Aces, right? They're moving their games against her to a bigger arena because they're going to make more money. So do they tell the Stars, hey, you know what? Let's let her play a little bit. I don't know. I just will say it's going to be interesting. Long term, I don't think it lasts. I hate to be skeptical. I just don't. I hope I'm wrong. I'd be nothing happier saying I'm wrong, but I just don't see it lasting because I thought Ionesco was going to change things. And I thought there's another woman who came out of when UConn was dominating. So we will see. But I do think it's going to change sports cards because I do think this might have been, and I thought Panini was stupid when they signed her, but this might have been the best thing Panini has done in the last few years. It might save the company. It might make them attractive enough where Fanatics actually buys them after 2 years of Panini might sit there milking the current license, then be able to move the WNBA and go, hey, now you want to buy me? And they might just buy them for the licenses and buy the WNBA. So I expect flawless. I expect immaculate WNBA. I expect high-end WNBA products because I think they could do it. They can get access to the player materials. They can get on-card autos. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they do it well, they could at least make a set or two that goes out, like blazing glory. So that I'll tell you, this is my point to that. I will buy breaks of Indiana because I don't want any of the other players. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea who the hell they are. Don't tell me they're going to be great too. I don't care who Angel Reese is. I don't care who the other girl is. I will buy breaks of Indiana because I do think there's money in the short term, maybe 1 or 2 years. And if it doesn't, maybe it works out, you save a few. But I think it'd be a fun one to chase in breaks.
No, I agree. I think it's great that somebody came to our state that wanted to play here, that came and I have had this debate with Step in the Box on his channel. We agreed to disagree on this one. He said she could have made more money staying in college. She made a bad decision coming out, and I said you're nuts. I said that she's going to make so much money. I know that the league doesn't have the greatest collective bargaining agreement, but she's going to make so much money in endorsements right now. She couldn't risk being hurt to come out and have the hype go away a little bit. Yes, she could have shattered the record books even more, but the hype around it was so great that I think she had to do it. And I read an article that she said on record when they were at Madison playing the Badgers, that was the night that they had the lottery for the WNBA. When she saw the Fever were the number one pick, she said, "I'm going to declare for the draft because I don't want to leave the Midwest." Yeah, and so that I think that's really cool. As a Midwestern person myself, I came back to the Midwest after spending some time on the West Coast, and I love it here. I don't think I'll ever leave. I will visit other places, no doubt, but I think it's cool that somebody like that really wanted to play here, wanted to make a home here, at least temporarily, where they could have easily said, I want to go to LA, I want to go to New York, I want to go to Miami. I don't want to play in the Midwest because I want the big market. And I think she'll get the big market. She'll get the national attention. At least right now, maybe short-term gain. You never know what's going to happen long-term, like you said, but they will get a lot of games on TV here nationally because of who she's playing or in general.
Yeah, I heard a majority. I think all but 8 of her games are going to be nationally televised. Not that to be a shocker until this summer. Can I ask, do you know about her history? Like, why did she go to Iowa? And was she a high prospect, in high school? I mean, because I'll be honest, I never would put Iowa as a powerhouse, dude. It's been Stanford, it's been UConn, you've had South Carolina, LSU, but I didn't even know who Iowa was until 2 years ago when she was shooting, and then last year she had a run, and then this year, so that's the only reason I even know who she is. So it makes sense that there's a reason she likes that area, and I'm glad she's staying there. But I'm curious what her background was, what her ties were to Iowa, when she was recruited. Did she have choices to go elsewhere? I have no idea.
That's a great question. I don't think I think she was somewhat highly recruited. I know that she's from Des Moines. So she's from Iowa. And she played high school basketball in Iowa. And so I think there could have been probably a choice between Iowa State and an Iowa Hawkeyes, maybe, if she wanted to stay in state. Yep. Perhaps.
Could she be alumni too?
You never know. Notre Dame had a great women's basketball team. They're not that far away. South Bend is only an 8-hour drive from Des Moines. So you could say, well, you could have gone to Illinois. You could have gone to Indiana. You could have gone to Ohio State had a decent women's team for a while. But I don't know the full story on why she ended up at Iowa. I'm sure somebody in the chat could look that up.
Yeah. I'll do some research. I was just curious about that because, like I said, she definitely she's potential to change the game. Like the jersey sales, the people that she's touched. If you have a daughter, daughters are into her. Like you said, your wife's into her. So I respect that. I do think for me, I think her professional rookie year cards will have value. Now I also think for me, I think those will have more value than the Bowman first. I could be completely wrong, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to say, well, those Bowman ones are going to be first. They're greater. They're value, but I will, like I said, next year, I will probably target some Indiana breaks to chase WNBA product. And I'll wait, though, for the good stuff. I'm not going to go rushing out. I think Prism would be the first thing I'd get into. And I hope they do some high-end stuff. I think it could be
I hope they don't print the absolute crap out of it. I hope they don't pull an NBA Prism where they print the bejesus out of it and you're going to see mega boxes at every single store in the country. I hope they make it a shorter checklist in terms of the fact that you could get her autographs out of there instead of like, today's Wemby hype. You can't get Wemby autographs out of
I
Prism.
know.
You can just get the color, right?
Well,
So
the
I
thing,
think
she's the hottest autograph Panini has or will have. I mean, they're salivating for her. Think about it, because they've had nobody,
And they better put a lot of them on card too. Make a lot of
Yeah, I
them on
agree.
card. Make them stand out. Make them really, really special. That'll go a long way to bolstering the brand, the brand appeal as well. I think again, and make people appreciate maybe what Panini could do at one point.
No, I agree. And like I said, I expect Panini. I'm not going to say they're not going to print the hell out of it because those guys print the hell out of everything. So
yeah,
kind of, they're trying to survive. They're trying to survive. Let me see. What else did I want to talk about? What else is the other topic? I guess the Kurt stuff was the other topic.
Card carry, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? What's happened, the updates, the new news?
Well, if he never makes the video, I don't think anybody knows the fact that card was soaked. I think the more you're out there just puffing your chest out saying, look at me, look at how great this product is, you should buy this because PSA they're basically upgrading cards and it's amazing. The more you say, the worse it gets for you. But maybe I don't know. I kind of had a chuckle at that one because I thought, why didn't you just shut your mouth? Like, you should just say, you know what? We've done this with the Jackie Robinson card. Here, let's not give you any information and we'll just show it to you. But no, they had to like leave the little scan code so you could look at it. It's like, why don't you just leave the whole thing there? I mean, why be so obvious?
Because before, a lot of his have blacked out the certs.
Right.
So he specifically was open about that. What I would say, my first thoughts are, I think there's been a lot of overreaction. Like, I think people think this is over. Carrot's been banned. PSA's come out. The world is going to be great now. I'm thinking, well, really, I think PSA overreacted because it kind of had to. What it's made me clear, and I'll say this too, I don't use Kurtz. I'm not using Kurtz. I'm not endorsing Kurtz, but it does prove that you can soak a card and fix shit and get away with it. I mean, because they missed it. I mean, they only caught it, like you said, because he showed them that he caught it. So that gets concerning. Like, I think what's going to happen is, like what I will say about Jeremy having him on, it brought to light that this is happening. I think people need to be more aware of it because I think, for example, a lot of people get 10s and you're like, oh, how is he always getting a 10? Well, he's using a cleaning guy. He's using a cleaning kit. Like, here's how it's happening. Don't be fooled. It's not gem mint rates. Gem mint rates, of anything now, are more about who's submitting it, in my opinion, than the cards, right? Because if you know what you're doing, and I'm also concerned too that this could trigger a witch hunt. And what I mean by that is, okay, you caught Kurt because he washed a card. I know a couple guys who shine cards all over Facebook all the time, right? Who are known for doing this, cleaning and waxing cards. And I can see the cards. I can see the numbering on the card. You think others can't? Like, does somebody call them out and then all those cards get decertified? I don't think things got better. I think things got worse with this whole thing. And I don't think it will get better. Like I said, I think it's going to become quiet. And now you're just going to see people just on the low. It's going to be dirtier than it was before, I think, in a way, because no one got stopped. You know what I mean?
I think everybody's just going to go quiet about it. And they're going to say, well, try to catch me then.
Yeah.
If I can't go out and boast, then I'm just going to do it on the stealth and good luck. You're not going to catch me anyway. And I think it's really unfortunate because I'm not one that would partake in that, but I'm sure people will.
Well, let's say another thing that caught my attention was, I know people have been grilling the Wemby card because the guy said, I want to thank Kurt. I want to make a comment. That is not damning evidence. Okay. And what I mean by that, I want to thank Mr. Minty because I saw Mr. Minty at the Chantilly show and he looked at my Wemby card and Mr. Minty told me it's a factory defect. Go return it. Mr. Minty didn't alter my card. He gave me advice. So maybe Kurt just gave him advice. Say, hey, that's a beautiful card. Make sure you wipe the fingerprints off and put it, I think people overreact and that concerns me too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're so quick in this industry to ban people. And I also think it's funny how we ban certain things. Like, repacking is completely okay. Okay. But God damn it, you wash a card, you should burn in hell. And I think that's ironic. I mean, to me, I think repacking's worse, but
Before we move on to another topic, I got to use the restroom here real quick.
no problem.
I have
I'm
had.
gonna take some questions.
I'm doing eating training right now, and I did a little too close to the.
No problem, man. Take a quick break. That's what we do here. I'm gonna read some comments here. Many times, the local Philly watering hole. I think he's an amazing guy. Remember when he was winning so much, Philly Joe, and people were complaining about him? They were too dominant. Someone needs to break up UConn. I thought they did a great job because here's the thing: what the UConn program did, it made women's basketball what it is today. It made these young women, in my opinion, realize you could go be part of a dominant team or go beat a team that beats the dominant team. Right? Who's the first team that beats UConn, that takes down the dynasty? And then you had all those women move into the NBA, WNBA. And it's become a phenomenal league. And when you go to those games, they're freaking good games. I mean, they're just as they're better than the pickup games you watch on the street. So amazing games. Yeah, I agree. So we're kind of just talking about lack of evidence and the kind of the I guess I don't know. I just think it's the attacks on the people. Like Sports Card Radio is going off about Kurt's card care guy and how he's the devil and all stuff. I look at it as, look, he's a business guy. A lot of people have been making cleaning kits. He demonstrated and got his hand smacked. But I'll guarantee you what? He doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? In fact, here's what I would do if I was him too. I would do it again. Okay, I would do 2 cards. One that I cleaned, one that I never cleaned. I would submit the never cleaned card, get it graded, let them decertify it, and then I'd sue them. So it's like, how do you know that I put the clean card in the submission? How do you know I didn't do that off camera, PSA? You know what I'm saying? If you can't detect it, he should actually come back and countersue them. And so you're coming after me. You can't prove that I did it. I didn't put that card in the submission. Off camera, you never saw that card go in an envelope to PSA submission. And for PSA to decertify them all, I say sue them. And this is, I'll just say I'm getting heated on this. This is why I fucking hate grading. There's no legality. There's no rules. It's all a bunch of magic. It's just a bunch of guys who agreed, I'm going to tell you what my card looks like, and everybody else agreed to it. So I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I don't disagree with you. I think the other thing that's really problematic right now, but many people would say it's great, PSA is cranking out cards at such a rate. They're literally spending, like, on these $16 submissions, they're spending less than, I want to say, 2 weeks in-house. And people are paying for services that would have previously cost like $50 for like a 2-week service time. They're pumping them out at such a rate. And I think they're not spending enough time on the cards to grade them accurately on occasion. And I've seen a couple of times recently where the people that have submitted that usually are used to getting a certain gem rate, the distribution that they get out of what they got back, it matched some of mine during the specials where it's like we all got the same metrics. Like you just queued up like 22 cards and you would divide it out, right? No matter what you get, you're getting the same thing. And I think they'll say, oh, you got the grader on the wrong day. I don't really believe in that. I don't think somebody goes into work one day and says, I had bad traffic on the way and I'm going to give out a bunch of 9s. I think they got a lot of inexperienced people. That's a little bit problematic because they've exploded in the grading service that they offer in terms of, the number of locations, the people, et cetera, et cetera. That can be a little problematic in the fact that some people may be giving out different grades than others just because of inexperience.
No, I don't disagree with you. I definitely think that's why I think it's very subjective on the 9s. In fact, a great tip I heard from Cage Lawyer, he said, take a bunch of your PSA 9s, right? Crack them all out and just submit the PSA 9s, right? Submit 20 PSA 9s. Yeah. Guarantee you some of them are going to come back 10s because a grader can't sit there and give 29s out.
Right.
And I have to say, I sadly agree.
I do agree with that.
At the same time, I will give them credit on, hey, my Wemby card had a factory defect in it. What I think is weird is it's a 4-point ding for a factory defect. And then you saw Neo had his card where he came out and realized this too. He did have a crease in it. So that crease, which is very noticeable to me now, is a 6. And mine with a little factory ripple or whatever the hell. I'm thinking that to me is what drives me crazy. How can you be that subjectively different?
The moment I saw that card that he said, like, he's like, there's no way that that PSA did this, or there's no way that he missed this, and that PSA must have done this. It made me immediately remember the time that I saw the exact same Bobby Witt card with a crease right down the middle of the back of it, where somebody sent it in and got a 2, and then they flipped the card over and they're like, why did this get a 2? And then they looked, and sure enough, there was that crease right down the middle of it. And I think it's notorious for those 87 throwback mojos on occasion in update to have creases in them, especially the Bobby, because I've seen at least one more just like that. And that made me think, like, oh, I don't think PSA did that. I think you missed that, because it's not a glossy finish on the back. It's a little bit more of a matte finish, and you really got to hold it at the right light. I even experimented with a couple cards that I had just to see, like, would I be able to see it? And if you don't hold it at the right light, you will miss it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why I'll say too, when people say, oh, are you blind? How you miss it? I will send a lot of stuff to PSA because I will accept the rejection. I'll accept the 9 or 10 or the 8 or whatever, because you're right. You don't see everything. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's just part of the business. Maybe that's part of the subjectiveness. I want to respond here to this comment. It's not magic. There are standards. Well, when I was in college, I used to have standards when I used to go out drinking with my friends that I was only going to sleep with a 10. And then I would always end up with like a 7 or a 6 because my standards would change over the night. As the night got longer and the more I drank. And that is why I look at PSA. PSA standards are the same way, depending on how much they drink. If standards were standards, how is a 9 not always a 9? I mean, even like the serial number 9s go back and sometimes they come back at 10. And that's what drives me crazy. If they really, really had the accuracy there, if they really were fingerprinting stuff, and you saw people commenting saying, yep, I sent this card in, got the same grade, then I'd start believing it. But until then, I still think it's, like you said, it's fast grading. They have a great system. They have a processing plant. They have the Ford assembly line of sports card grading. And from what I hear, it's going to get better this week, right? There's another announcement coming out this week, which I personally think to myself, I don't know what else PSA could do, but more to come on the PSA empire as it continues to grow.
Oh, as far as acquisitions go, or something else?
Well, Jeff was hinting to some major announcement that Chris Hoge, is it Chris Hoge? Mark Hoge was in the office this week. And then Neo mentioned as well. There's someone, which made me think to myself, why is there some secret that you're telling everybody that you have to wait a few days? Like, you're not a public company. Like, who cares? Like, really, like, the only people are going to care are going to be like, a handful of YouTube people.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw maybe eBay was direct to grade or something like that.
Well, I guess eBay's taken all the business over for the authentication guarantee. It's not going to be CGC
Oh, is that
anymore.
right?
That was one of the announcements that came out earlier this week. And then you've got, the ability to, I guess another one that's coming is raw. I think raw to PSA, or you can buy on eBay and then send it to PSA to get graded.
Just like Tom C did. That's not really a novel idea. The only thing I don't like about that is it gets really messy when you actually can't see the card, and then people will I sell a lot on eBay. I disclose everything on the cards I sell. I try to do my very, very best to disclose any flaws or dings or dents. I would never want to buy a card off of eBay and send it right to PSA without looking at it first. Yeah. Even if somebody said that it's perfect, right? Why would I do that? It had to be a better deal. Like the cost must be cheaper for me to do that.
The only exception where I did this was I did do the e-pack, where I bought e-packs, and then I could send them directly to ComC to CGC at the time and got them graded. And I thought that'd be fine. I never looked at the card. That did not work well for me. I got 9s, but I agree with you. I even have cards that I will send to ComC now, and I will make note of them that when they get to ComC, depending on the notes they put on them, I might send them to grade. Like, they're ones I didn't feel like grading, but if the market changes, I might send them the grading from there. So I'm not going to see them again. But you're right. I do have to see them at least once before I do that. I want to have some visibility in my cards.
I've got to see the card in person to know what to do with it. I would never trust a photo or a scan to send it right to grading.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like
But
a
I,
huge risk.
but I will say I'm excited. You mentioned the PSA orders coming back. I will say, okay, I sent orders in March. I feel like I always feel special, like I'm being picked on and targeted. My orders are moving like snails, man. I
Oh
have the
wow.
22 card order. That's all the same damn card. It is the same damn card, and it's still in the grading phase. Okay, and again,
Oh wow.
I'm about 5 weeks in. Okay, now the other order, which is 47 cards, a bunch of different cards, that's in assembly. Okay, and that's I guess 5 weeks in as well, maybe 6 weeks, whatever. But they're not moving, and they're both telling me they're not popping until June. Now, I assume that's going to change. Everyone's like, "Oh, don't
Oh
worry, they'll come in
yeah.
sooner." But I am watching people get theirs back in 3 weeks. I'm going, "Well, dude, mine have been there for 5 weeks." And one of my orders, like I said, it's all the same damn card. Like you would think that'd be easier to research and ID and everything else. Um,
You
so,
would
also,
think.
have you submitted anything in April?
I just did today, actually. So I submitted a 12 card order, including 10 IndyCar autographs.
And you can submit again for the April special, right? It's not
Yeah,
once
I
per
think
month,
I
right?
think so. I tried to get one order out, and then I'll probably try to follow it up with some other. I've got a lot of other autographs that I could submit. I just didn't know which ones to submit. I was trying to submit all the low numbered stuff that I thought
Yep.
that really was near perfect. If it had any little white on the black corner, I nixed it from the order. And then I still got what I need to do is take an inventory of the baseball season so far and go through which players I have from last year that are hot this year that might stay hot that I want to maybe grade a little bit and try to get a 10 card order in. But again, I haven't done that yet, and I still got a week.
Yeah, so I put one order in, but when I went to the app, I did not see the special listed in it again. Now, I haven't started another order, but it's not
Oh, you're talking
showing
about
up.
the April special?
Yeah, like I put
That's
an
a
April
great
special
question.
in. I assume I can do it again.
I assume you can do it again. I was going to say
Yeah.
I did mine Friday that I submitted it, and I still could, but I didn't try today, so I can't.
I also did get some cards back from my subber, the guy I sub with, I guess last Friday, and I did really well. I mean, it was mainly a bunch of refractors, nothing super special. And I already sent most of those off to DC87 Sports or whatever to sell those. I've been using them most of the time because I don't like dealing with eBay. I just don't.
I'll tell you what, I need to make a video from the tales of eBay. I've made some mistakes. I've had some really bad interactions lately with some people that wanted to price me down on cards. And then the other thing is the people that forgave me for all the mistakes I made. I was trying to blitz selling complete sets of the IndyCar product, and somehow people ended up with duplicates of. I don't know how I do it, but like I'm looking at like hundreds and thousands of cards, and I gave one guy two of the card number 158, but I didn't give him card 156, and I'm like, well, it was probably really small, and honestly, I couldn't see the difference, so I might have given him the wrong card. But the whopper of them all, besides the one that I'll tell you the story of the guy with the foul language, and it'd be a great video, by the way. I had 2 Stephen Kwan cards that I graded, both gold. Oh, look at that! You can do a peace sign and you get balloons. That's awesome.
Didn't work for me, man.
It should be
That's
like
cool.
this, and I get a thumbs up. Maybe I don't know. But anyway, as I was saying, so I had 2 Stephen Kwan cards, both of them golds, and one of them was an 8, the other one was a 10, and I had the 10 listed on eBay for sale. It finally sold after maybe 2 months, and I was going out of town vacation. I went through the boxes that I have the cards in that I list on eBay, and I grabbed the first Stephen Kwan gold that I saw, and I didn't look at the grade, and I put it in a box, and I sent it off to the person, and they open it up, and they're like, dude, what the hell? They're like, I bought a 10, you sent me an 8, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm like, oh my God, I am so sorry about that. I said,
You're on Sports Card Nonsense. Someone's posted you on Sports Card Nonsense.
I
You know
was
that.
like, Oh, really? Did
No,
they
I'm
really?
just kidding. But I'm sure someone's put there. I ordered a 10 and I got an 8. It's
Well,
probably
and then
somebody
the thing
bitching.
is that I went back in the box. I'm like, surely I still have the 10 then. And so sure enough, I did. I said, I am so sorry about that. That is completely my mistake. I completely whiffed and sent you the wrong card. I'm going to send you the right one. And I said, the right thing to do would be for me to, obviously I'm going to pay to ship it again, but I didn't know what to do with the card that I already sent him by mistake. It's only like a $10 card. So I just let him keep it. And I said, you know what? Just keep it. I said, you can have both and just forgive me whenever you get the card. Don't leave me a negative review because I did not do that on purpose.
Yep. See, I would say I've had issues like that too, where I've had, and when I used to do that too, I would just rather give the stuff away, refund it, and send the right card. But it just was a pain. It really was.
It was a pain, yeah. But
so, and also raw cards. I hate selling raw cards because even you write the descriptions, there's somebody who's always complaining, and I would, get paranoid. Maybe they're damaging the card. Maybe they're sending back the crappy card. So I just stopped using. Like I use eBay right now for my Funko Pops, and even that's a nightmare. So most of my stuff I use DC87 or DC Sports. I feel like they do a great job.
It's a cesspool. I will say one more funny story. So one of the autographs I have is a nice autograph out of 49 for the last year's series champion. I had it listed for $150 or best offer. No, I actually was $150 firm. And somebody replied and said, "What's the best you can give me on that card?" And I thought about it, and then I didn't reply, and I was just like, no, I'm firm. I didn't reply, and I didn't reply to them. And then somebody bought the card literally in the next 2 hours because I knew it would sell because he's a hot driver. The guy sends back thanks, and then he just puts MF, and I can only fill in the blank what MF meant.
Thanks, mother.
And I was like, why are you mad at me? Because I didn't give you a deal on the card that I knew would sell for $150? No.
Yeah, so you paid, yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So eBay can be a little bit of a cesspool at times in terms of, people expecting a deal and then getting disappointed when they don't want to pay them the market rate for something. And then it gets gobbled up right underneath their nose. And they're like, well, thanks a lot. I'm like,
well, I'm impressed with people who can run the stores who do a good job, because the customer service part to me is the hardest part of that. It really is. It's dealing with different people and the different attitudes. So Philly Joe's question, my experience with DC87, I really like them a lot. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't use, no reason for me to recommend them. They're close to me in Virginia, so I can ship to them very fast. My biggest complaint to them is that I cannot control when they list. They list 5-day auctions. I try to time it so when a package gets there on a certain day, it gets listed a certain time. But that's not a science because they get backed up.
They don't. Yeah. You can't manipulate that all as far as time of day.
They as far as I know, what I've been using them for, and I normally send them lots of 10 to 20 cards that are $25. They have a couple models. They're $25 or more, and I do that several times a month right now. But I like them because they deal with all the garbage for me. I also would say someone mentioned they're a great place for sourcing. They are a great place for buying. I know I get better prices there because people are willing to pay $1 more on there because they're combining shipping. They're getting more stuff. So my cards, when I've sold I was selling the base Palos last year, they made more money for me on DC87 than they did when I sold them myself in auctions or buy it now. So I'm a fan of DC87.
People pay a little bit more sometimes for the, people say it's shill bid or whatever, but I don't agree with that. Not in all cases, but I think many times the bigger houses will garner a premium just because people are a little skeptical about somebody with low feedback.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
My feedback's up to like almost 600. DC Sports is probably like 60,000 or whatever. So who are you gonna trust more with the bigger card that you're gonna, I don't know.
They also do a good job in their descriptions so that you're less likely, if you're buying raw to grade, you can actually, like a lot of, I think Little Victories buys from DC87. So yeah, I think it's good. I would like for them to have a more, a better relationship. So I could send them high-end cards and they could schedule them for me on a Saturday auctions or Sunday night auctions. but I don't think they do that yet. I know they've added a few things, but I think they're great. I'm a big fan. And I
Yeah.
like eBay too. I mean, I like eBay, even though it's a cesspool and I don't directly use it, I appreciate what it is. It is the heartbeat of the hobby in so many ways.
The biggest thing about eBay, another kind of digression there that I need to make sure I do is you can get deals on there right now when stuff goes to auctions. And I always forget to look, nor do I always set my instant notifications where if the card goes on auction that I might be interested in and be like, hey, I'm going to snipe that. So I've missed out on a few good cards where the price went a lot lower than I thought. I'm like, damn it. I need to make a point to check that more often because
Absolutely.
I could have bought some really nice basketball cards in the last week.
And they also, my other complaint is that sometimes your auctions all end too close to each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'll have 10 or 15 auctions and they're all ending within the same minute or minutes. So you can't really buy 2 or 3 of my items unless you had made bigger bids. I think it'd be harder if I was, they're not 5 minutes spacing between them, which I wish I could let you do a little bit more, but too many servers try to build me. Yeah. The shipping dumbness is ridiculous too, where I see people overcharge for shipping.
Yeah. I've had a few people ask me about that and they've been a little leery to buy multiples because they thought I would charge for shipping. And I said, look, if you tell me, if I try to set it up where I'm doing combined shipping, but honestly, if it doesn't do that for you, just tell me and I'll refund you the difference. Yep. Like I'm not like that So
as we close out here, let me ask you, let's talk about NBA series. Who's going to win these first rounds? Suns and Wolves. Who's going to win this series?
Tonight's game depends a lot on my answer. I need to double check.
Okay, Timberwolves are up 93-76 right now in the fourth. Looks like they're going to win game 4.
The Wolves are going to win.
Isn't that impressive too?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. KD's cooked, man. He went there. He has Beal. He has Booker. I mean, those guys. I'm just blown away by that. They're not even going to make next round. Bucks and Pacers. Pacers are up by 9 right now in the third. They're down by 1 the series. They're going to make that a series.
Giannis needs to come back, but the Bucks should win that series if Giannis comes back and plays at least 3 games.
I agree, and I think Giannis will come back. Like I'd like to see the Pacers move on, but I think the Bucks are going to move on that one.
The Pacers,
Mavericks
Clippers
tonight.
Kawhi Leonard didn't play, I think, in the first game.
Not playing tonight either.
Still won. Yeah. I would say I think the Clippers are going to win that series, just because of if Kawhi does play in the series. I don't think the Mavs are going to win.
That's disappointing in my opinion because the Mavs were running hot coming in the playoffs. Luka's looking, maybe to win the MVP. And if they get eliminated in the first round by the Clippers, I think that sucks. Do you think who wins the MVP
of the league?
Yeah, so Jokic.
Joker probably, just because of the way they do it now. I mean, a lot of people were on SGA, and then Giannis obviously was another pick that people were considering. But I don't know. I mean, Luka had a great season. He had a really good season. I think the Mavericks are an up and coming team. Finally, they're gonna make some decent runs here. If they're going to win championships, they need to do it before Kyrie gets too old. And a lot of people thought that marriage of Kyrie and Luka would never work out.
I agree.
Well, I could be wrong by saying the Clippers are going to win that series, but I think the Clippers have not gone beyond a first round playoff in a while, and Kawhi's finally the healthiest he's been, and they're stacked this year with all that top end talent. This is win or nothing. I mean, the PG-13 is near the end of his the meaty part of his career. He's been in the league since 2010. Russell Westbrook, same thing. James Harden, same thing, and now Kawhi Leonard. So I would say they need to get it done if they're going to get it done, because I can't see that team hanging on much longer with those 4. Whereas the Mavs, I think, still have opportunities ahead of them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I was one of the people who thought that the Kyrie thing would not work. It's been a great year for the two of them. And I would love to see them move on, but it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. Well, man, I appreciate it. It's been a good night. I appreciate the comments, the content. I will just make one last comment. I don't know if you want to respond to this one. Just for the record, proponent. Let me say this. I do not buy Kurt's Card Care. I do not use Kurt's Card Care. I applaud his hustle, and I know a lot of people are using it and others like it. And I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'll put it this way. I'm not going to be part of the witch hunt that's going to be calling out people using it or other products. If they want to use it, do what you want to do.
Do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Just hope I don't buy any of those products. Not
where they go.
The actual
they
cards that have been manipulated. I would hope I wouldn't do that. But.
Well, the manipulated cards go in repacks. So do stolen cards, and so do alter cards. So don't buy repacks. If you stop buying repacks, then this whole damn Kurt's Care thing would go away, because then there wouldn't be the chase for the money. So that's what it is. It's the root of the evil. It's the repacks. Man, thank you again for being here, guys. Thanks for listening from the chat. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and kill everything. Have a great night. Thanks for being here.